Radio Zero.
Neither can I. I can't hear you. Hold on. Nope. Hold on. Check. Can you just check the cable? Yes.
Check 1 2. Oh, now I can hear myself.
I switched it.
Check
that
1 2
cable
3.
For a different podcast.
Oh yeah, which I missed.
Well,
Let me
it
see.
has not been.
I'm really mad that I
Has not
missed
been
that.
edited.
I-
You can. Yes. So, did you announce it? Did it work? Did you do the announce?
Check. Oh, hi. You're listening to Radio Zero with Rick and Rose on Friday, October 6th, 2023.
All right.
And my dad is dead.
All right. You can subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I was going to say Google Podcasts, but Google Podcasts is going away, and it seemed very convoluted, and we had moved away from Spotify, and then just a week ago or a month ago, I was informed by Google that my Apple Music subscription was canceled.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that.
And then Google told me that Google Podcasts was going away, and then I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? And then looking for podcast, alternatives on an Android phone, and then it's like, oh, this Apple Music stuff, and then I just we went back onto Spotify. So, but it was a good year or two of protest, right?
And
Because
why were we protesting? I forgot. Somebody did some racist.
lunkhead.
They let a racist on.
Whoa!
What?
I think that's what he would say if you called him a racist.
Oh,
you can also go to radiozero.u. So however you consume podcasts, just go ahead and use that. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and Poster Children page. Probably live streaming every other Friday around 5 p.m. Central for
Unless
the near
somebody
future.
else dies.
Yeah, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. You can patronize us at patreon.com/Radio Zero. Thank you for everyone who is still patronizing us. It helps out a lot. All right. Yes, so
I'm done. I already said it.
we didn't have an episode last week. Rose was in Florida, and unfortunately her dad passed away. And thank you to everybody who's been sending regards and everything like that. I know it's very nice.
It is so much outreach, so many people. I don't know what to say. I mean, do I go over it? Do I talk about what happened?
Only if you want to.
It was like was it last Friday or 2 Fridays ago?
Two
Fridays
ago.
Because I was at Pygmalion, and I got a call that day that my dad, I think it was that day, my dad fell. He fell in the morning or something, and then he's taking like, what is it called?
Blood thinners.
He's taking so many blood thinners. Like old people in Florida, you look at them and like half of their skin is just black because they've got so much blood thinners in their system. And he just went through like thyroid surgery, and he went through he got like a new aorta. He got an aorta replaced. So, and he was in the house and he fell. So then they took him to the ER. They did a CT scan and said, oh, he's fine. And they wheeled him.
And the thing is that he was back right after his surgery and everything. He recovered and he's back to his weightlifting, right?
Yeah, playing pickleball and everything like that. Yeah, he was doing all that stuff. And then he fell because I think he wasn't eating a whole lot, even less for him because he doesn't eat a lot anyway. He fell. They brought him back from the hospital. I think they had him in a wheelchair. I don't think he walked at all. And then they stuck him in the car. And then as he was getting out of the car, he fell again. And my mom said it sounded like a bowling ball hitting the walls.
The second time was bad.
And then
he got an all clear that first time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then there was talk about like oh well he should have a walker because he was getting weak and stuff, and my mom was like he'd have a walker over his dead body so like these people want to live the way they want to live, so and die the way they want to live. I don't know. So yeah, I got there on Saturday. And I'm like I got the call, and I think I was talking to the doctor, and the doctor was like, well, we're going to see. And then I was like, should I come? And he's like, yeah, you should come. And then like sometime on Saturday, I think I was talking to you, and I was like, I'm going to go to Florida. And you were like, yep, go ahead. And I didn't know you could just buy a plane ticket to go that day to Florida and be there. And there I was, and he was still kind of able to talk. And then over the next couple of days, he wasn't able to talk anymore. And then we put in hospice, and then he died. That's the end of it. And I mean, I canceled my classes, for that week, and I didn't tell my students because I don't want to be trauma dumping on them, like, oh, my dad died, like I didn't want to do that.
I think
I
they
could,
would be
I know I could,
but no, you don't have to.
I just said I'm canceling the classes. Here are some videos for you. Watch them. Because they love when the classes are canceled anyway. I didn't want to take that joy away from them,
You didn't want there to be any guilt.
I was seriously. So I don't remember, and then when I got back,
but you were there with your mom and your sisters.
Yeah, everybody was there. Like he was surrounded by me and my sisters and my mom, and we sat vigil over him, and we had a rabbi come. He was 95 years old. We had once we got to the hospice and the ICU people at Lakewood Ranch Medical Center, holy shit, they were so nice. I can't believe how nice and wonderful they were. And then, we finally got him to hospice, and that's when, you could get the rabbi. Rabbi showed, and by this point, I was like, well, this is the 95th season of Papa. This is the 95th season, and the rabbi episode was awesome. I really liked the rabbi episode. I was calling them all episodes, I think. And the rabbi came, and we had a little argument with him because my mom wanted cremation, and that's not
she
something
doesn't
that
believe
Jews
in
do.
God.
She doesn't believe in God. Yeah, all that stuff.
The usual thing.
I asked the rabbi what the meaning
with your rabbi about. With the rabbi, but he was up for talking about all that stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's what's good about a rabbi is they don't mind getting
Oh yeah, you can into
the woods, into the details.
Sure, I said hey Rabbi, what's the meaning of life? And he's like, oh well, I'm glad you asked. The meaning of life is to have a mission. And it's not, maybe when you're working, you have a mission, to get as much money as possible, and that's okay, and to do your best work. But then when you like he kind of transitioned into when you're not like working anymore, or like when you're not thinking about that, like a lot of people like to acquire stuff, and that's their mission, and that doesn't seem to be a sustainable mission. This is what he's telling us, and I'm like, dude, I love this rabbi, and it's a Chabad rabbi. Anyway, he's saying all this stuff. Oh, and he also like had all, it was the other, I can talk about this, right? Like, it's okay. You're not bored, right? Even though you've heard it all. This is the rabbi episode of my dad's 95th season. So he goes, you can't be cremated. And here are the reasons why. And so he's telling us, like, first of all, your enemies, all our enemies always would burn us. So that's one reason. That's the second reason to not do it. The first reason is there's some sort of transition. When a person dies, their soul needs a little bit of time to get out of it, out of the body, some amount of time. And then there's also some other coming back into the body, which I didn't catch. I didn't understand, but then if the body was burned, then you wouldn't be able to come in there. You'd be stuck in limbo, forever. And you don't want that to happen.
That's not the term he used.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was something like, and I'm a little distraught at this point because my dad is obviously, dying. So I'm trying to listen to him, and my sisters are in there, and one of my sisters, is not following the Jewish religion, and the other one is. But anyway, by the end of him talking about this, like a good 15 minutes, they were like, my one sister who's not raising her children Jewish is just like, we have to be buried. Bury me now. She's like, I'm just rethinking everything. I'm not gonna be cremated, And my mom's like, fuck you all, like she didn't say that, but she's like, I've made my decision. But everybody else was like, and I was sitting back there, and at that point, I thought to myself, I shouldn't open my mouth anymore, because when I open my mouth, something bad happens. I learned that over the last couple of days. So I was just like, I'll just wait. And then afterward, and I'll be the Michael Jackson just eating popcorn, listening to the rabbi talk to my two sisters and my mom. I'll just do that. I'll be the rabbi, or the Michael Jackson eating popcorn, and then I'll say something. And then, so they finished, and my sister's like, I'm going to be buried. And I go, listen, first of all, a lot of the things in the Jewish religion, especially the Orthodox Jewish religion, are there for like kind of ancient reasons. Like you wanted to, they're there for ancient reasons. And so, the reason a lot of times why you can't eat these two types of food together is because you would get some sort of disease, right? So, like a lot of that stuff is sort of older tradition for not dying. Like some of it's even, that's what I learned anyway. And then I said, and another thing is you should consider twice about taking advice from somebody that you can't touch, because like I think Chabad rabbi, at least as far as I know, you can't touch that rabbi. Maybe
women.
Women can't touch a male. At least, like I went to shake a Chabad rabbi's hand, and that's something that you can't do, which I totally respect. But I was just looking for a reason for my sister to like not change her entire outlook on not life but death, in like 5 minutes of somebody telling her that her soul would not come, like have a place to come back in the body. I don't know. And I felt like being the devil's advocate, and it was another problem of me opening my mouth again. So there you have it. So that
caused a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the rabbi episode, and then we had the VA episode, which was also good. That was the next day where it was the same day. I think it was the same day.
No, it was the next day.
It was the next day? Yeah, we had that. We had, my dad was a veteran, and so something that they do in Manatee County or whatever county that at that particular hospice is that they can call a guy who will come in and do a veteran pinning ceremony. So he did that, and then somebody had the bright idea of that we should put it on Zoom, and so we did that, and we had and then I was like, I think it was probably my idea, like, oh, we should broadcast it on Zoom. Is that okay? And the guy was like, sure. So we put that link on Zoom, and at that point I was like, I don't want to see anybody's faces. I just want to broadcast this. And I don't want to see people's faces if they, and we'd been in this like vigil for like 6 days, like sitting by my dad, and my dad was kind of immobile and not talking at all. Like he was gone, right? Already just like, but breathing still. And so I was like, I don't want to see anybody's faces. And then the faces started popping up on Zoom, and it was like the best thing ever just to see the people's faces. So this like grief thing where, I remember when a friend of mine got breast cancer, and I remember when I got breast cancer too, when you start telling people, they get really sad for you. But then when somebody else gets sad for you, then you start crying, that's the thing. So I figured if I saw people's faces, I would start crying, but that's not what happened. It was just wonderful. We were sitting next to the computer and talking to people, and I was reading my dad's favorite jokes. Like he had this favorite horoscope jokes and stuff, and I was reading them for people. You were on it, right?
I was for a while, but then I had to go.
Yeah.
Pick up.
Oh, people stayed on for over an hour, I think.
That's great.
Just laughed and laughed.
Yeah, and so your dad, it was he was 95, but was not in World War II. He would have just missed.
Yeah,
right?
it was the Korean War.
He was in a MASH unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was a dentist.
Yeah.
He was, and I don't know how much action he saw. I think it was after the war.
No, it was
right?
after the war.
Yeah, and it sounded like it was the best time of his life. He got to do dental work and then got to play shows all the time. He was playing music every night also.
And he talked like the people whose mouths he was fixing, like he had some really bad, like it was like for him being a dentist was you got to save people and fix them.
Help. That's
You
what I
got to help
remember him
people.
saying.
Yeah, but you didn't have
help
to-
people. But you didn't have to worry about
That they
them
would
dying
die.
like a doctor, right?
Yeah.
You're a doctor, but you're not holding their lives
Yeah.
in your hand, right?
Yeah.
But you get to help. It's kind of like being a fireman, right? Well, no, fireman actually
No,
that's
yeah,
bad. But
yeah.
it's like the, it's the you definitely deal with the, you're helping people with medical procedures, but not it's not life or death usually.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean so we're there for my mom, my mom I 62 years. She was with him for either 60 or 62 years.
Yeah, that sounds like the right number.
And I mean I know it
She
wasn't
was
all
13 years younger though
Yeah,
too when
yeah,
they were married. So
yeah.
she was in her early 20s.
Yeah, so he's been there, forever for her. And I
Yeah.
know, they're both pains in the asses. Not my mom, but my dad is a pain in the ass, right? My mom's a pain in the ass too. We're all pains in the asses, right? But, she stuck it out with him and he stuck it out with her. They both stuck it out, And I mean, Dad wasn't like Dad, I don't remember. I think I wrote something on Facebook about him. I didn't write it. I'm so glad that you wrote something on the poster children thing because I was without words. I had no idea what to write about him. And then Graham wrote something that ended with, "I know exactly how I'll get along without you." Like it was like, like a response to somebody going, "I don't know how I'll live without him," which is something that I'd said like my whole life. I don't know how I'll live without him. And Graham said, "I know exactly how I'll live without you. I'll see you every time I raise an instrument." Instead of raising a glass, he said, "Raise an instrument."
Yeah.
It was just so beautiful. And Dow made a post also about like all of his, all the different things that he knew him as. It's just wonderful. And your post, I was just so lucky that you guys made posts because I wasn't able to yet. But my post just talks about how, he didn't waste any moment of his life. I mean, I remember when I was there, like I worked in his office, in his dental office, and he'd be like, "If a patient cancels, you got to get another patient in there right now. You can't you can't rest. You can never rest. Everything has to be packed all full." So, and that's, he started painting when he retired at 92, and he's got like, about 50 or more. I don't know how many paintings he's got that he's painted over the past 4 years. He's just been painting, and they're beautiful. So just a life well lived, you know? And so, and the other thing, and I told my students this too, if you ever want to see a bunch of college students look up from their phones when you're talking to them, just tell them that your dad died. They look up and they're like, ha, ha, they didn't look back at their phones or anything. They just wait for you to say something. And I was like, my whole life, I've been terrified of what I would be like after my dad passed. I'm supposed to say passed, right?
Whatever works.
I have no idea what I would do afterwards. And so for the past, I don't know, 40 years, because he's 95, every time something would go wrong, he had a quadruple bypass or quintuple bypass 30 years ago or 20 years ago or something like that. I sat in the I slept overnight in the ER with him. And then I don't know, he's been, he always falls on his head. He cut himself out of a tree. He was on the wrong branch when he cut himself out of a tree. So many things happened to him. And afterwards I'd be he'd be back. And I'd be so thankful that I told my students that I've been practicing gratefulness for so long that he's still with me, that, now I have this, just all I have left is just gratefulness that I got to know him and be with him and stuff. So that's where I am.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's like. You lost your dad a long time ago, and it was a year-long process. This was like 6 days.
Oh, he was sick. Yeah.
I don't know if you relived it. I don't know, like, if it was hard for you.
No, I mean, but your dad, I'm just happy I got to see him over Thanksgiving. That was the only thing, is like, I felt like I saw him and talked to him. And so that was nice.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to
Yeah.
see him, because they had moved away and everything and hadn't seen them for a
Yeah.
long time. And with COVID too. Yeah, it was a long time.
Lived
Hadn't
through
seen
COVID.
them. Yeah, I don't even remember the last time I saw him in person before Thanksgiving. Just
Yeah.
this last Thanksgiving. So it's good we went, and so I feel good about that. Is that still got to see him and talk to him.
Yeah, he was just, and in the later years, he wasn't as talkative and was not as, communicative. And I think he was pulling away.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so.
Definitely. He got to spend time with him, but he wasn't as animated.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then now people are writing, like, I'll see somebody I don't know at all will write on Facebook, like somebody wrote like this beautiful thing about, performing with him because he's a jazz trumpet player. And just this like lovely, like other people knew him that way too, and like.
You should read that. That, what you read to me was amazing, what that guy wrote about
okay,
playing.
Let's see if I can find
playing with your dad. Because that's, I mean, kind of puts to shame what everybody else said. Not to but it's not a contest, but it was really
not
beautiful.
a contest.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it.
And then, I mean, it seems silly, but like a former neighbor of yours also passed away.
Oh, Dick Butkus.
Yeah.
She lived like 2 houses away, like across the street.
What a hotbed that neighborhood was. Future television, and film stars, and
okay, I got it. Let's see
linebackers, superstar linebackers.
So
you.
Andrea.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Film
you
and
said
television.
Andrea, yeah, film and television store. Okay, so Rocky Yira, I don't know who you are, Rocky. I'm so sorry, Rose. I'm not sure we've met, but I felt like sharing that I always enjoyed your dad's company. Your dad was indeed full of love. I could hear it whenever he spoke to me and in every note he played. And at this point, I'm like, my dad? That's my dad? The way a person plays directly reflects their deep personality, traits, sincerity, and values. Marty didn't waste any notes when he played music. Each note he played had intention, love, and deep significance. This, along with the impactful thoughts he shared when he spoke to me, said a lot about him as a person. He told me several times, quote, "The greatest achievement you will ever have is your 2 daughters." He was right, and I couldn't help but remember that phrase now, especially when I saw this post by his greatest achievement, you. He will be missed. Blessings to you and your family. So.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
You're going to make me cry.
Yeah, sorry. It was beautiful, though. That's a... just that idea. I don't know. I love the fact that music was such an important part of his life, and then this tying that all together, and how connecting the two, kind of his personal life, or the way he was with people, and how that was also with music.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so like I'm a musician because my dad forced me to play all the time. Like I've talked about this before. Like I started when I was 4 and I had to play piano, and then I had to have a second instrument and, violin. And, I talked him down from having to practice an hour a day down to 48 minutes. That was the negotiated 48 minutes, and I'd call him, like if I didn't want to practice, like I'd call him at the dental office and I'd say, Dad, do I have to practice today? And he'd say yes. And so then I'd be like, damn it. And then I'd go practice, but I'd like take bathroom breaks and stuff like that. It's just so different than, but
But it was
yeah.
his parents, right? His mother was. I didn't realize that when I saw something he had written. His mother. What does his mother do? But his father was a piano teacher.
They were both. Yeah, they were both
musicians.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But his dad was a piano teacher.
Fake book salesman. He sold fake books, right?
Yeah.
Your dad had great stories about traveling. Yeah, so
the pill
realizing
cake story.
the pill cake. But
yeah.
one where he was he went with his dad on one of his sales trips where he's selling these fake books. Fake books are, non-authorized music books, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they were in a motel somewhere. And he remembered walking by a room and the door was open and there was a whole family inside a motel room with a fire going inside the room.
Yeah, in the middle
sitting
of the room.
around, sitting around the fire. So this would have been in the 1930s, right?
Yeah.
But it was like those little moments. Yeah, there was the pill cake story where he was on tour. Well, he talked about being sunburnt. When he was 16, he did some stuff on the road, and that was in a convertible, right? They were in a convertible touring around the South some summer. He was really young, but then getting their heads sunburned.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And then there's the pill cake story where he was in a bus. I think he
no. That was a car.
And
this is like some one of his fellow musicians had took a lot of pills, and he took
they would do in those days.
Yeah. And so he would have pills to make him up, and then he'd have pills to make him down and stuff like that, right? And so one day was really, really hot, so the guy took his jacket off and threw it in the back of the car, by the window, and then the sun beat down on it and just turned the baggie of pills into just a pill cake. So the guy would just
multicolored
pill cake. So he would just bite off chunks,
just kind of gnaw at it. Pill cake. Yeah.
My sisters are writing while we're doing this. Okay, so yeah, I was thinking of something else to say about him.
This was all way. So your dad and mom got together. He was already in his 30s, so your dad had a whole life.
Yeah.
Before his family life, it's pretty interesting. The bits and pieces. Yeah, and his uncle, kind of did an intervention with him. So his uncle was a dentist down in southern Illinois, right? Somewhere farther south than where we are now.
Yeah.
So old Jewish dentist in central Illinois, right? And came up to visit or something. Or I think maybe he was still in Chicago at the time and then moved down there later. But had an intervention with your dad, which was like, you can't just do this music stuff, right? You gotta focus. You
need to make a living somehow. You can't just play music. And then he listened to the uncle because I guess his dad was a musician, right? So
yeah, and so it was like, oh, okay, the uncle kind of got him into the dentistry thing.
It's weird. I think Carla and Sarah, one of them or both of them were trying to get him to talk about his life and stuff on camera over the past couple of years, and he just didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
I don't know why. And I talked to him too about you should sell your paintings for charity, and he was like, no, he never. I don't understand. It's weird.
It's not why he's doing it.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
And it is. That's kind of a thing. You gotta turn everything into a business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he didn't want to do that. So.
The other one, I was trying to remember the poo-poo story, whereas and so what I remember is tell me if I'm right about this story, is the reason why he got his musician's union card was to play a gig, right?
Yeah, and right, exactly. And so he got it. He was so young when he got his musician's card that they made him go and play in front of them, I think.
Yeah.
And then he told me what song it was that he played. I have it written down somewhere.
Yeah, there was something
in the book.
special he had to do when you were 16, under 18 or something to get in.
And then he went to play a show.
Right.
And they were so bad.
Well, no, and then it was like they let them go early or something.
They let him out early.
They paid him and told him they could finish early, and then he went to see his dad, who was playing,
another
across
show.
town.
Yeah.
Like at the Green Mill or something, right?
Yeah.
And your grandfather said, "Poo poo." Why are you here? Why are you so
Yeah.
early? And then your dad was like, oh, they let us go early.
And then the whole band like was dying, was laughing
Was in
so
tears.
hard. Yeah.
They were just like, oh, like he didn't even realize. Oh, it was because they didn't want us to play anymore.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah.
Andy Lester is Joe Christmas says beautiful post from a stranger who's I guess not a stranger. Kim Jameson says, wow, that was beautiful. And Andy's asking if there are stories of Papa and his grandkids. But I also wanted to say, once I was in a restaurant, we were eating and like somebody ran up to him and said, Dr. Marshak, and hugged him. And, some young girl. And we were like, who's that? And he's like, oh, that's just one of my students. My dental school students.
Yeah, and my childhood dentist knew your dad too. It's like when we got married or whatever, and then my mom mentioned to Dr. Ridlin, he was like, "Oh yeah, I know Marty." And then you'd run into some kind of any kind of musician from a certain era in the Chicago area, or somebody who was their parent was a musician. And it's, oh yeah, I know Marty.
Everybody,
right? Yeah.
everybody knew everybody, I think. And
Yeah.
Andy is saying that his grandpa used to bury pennies in the dirt for him to dig up like treasure. That's nice. Yeah. I'll try to think of some, but
Well, they did go out. I remember him and Graham going out into the backyard of that old house, one of the places they lived at, right? And they were cooking. Right?
oh yeah,
They
yeah.
did something. They
taught
did
him how
like
to
a weird,
cook.
some kind of weird
Graham was
camp out
probably
kind
really
of thing.
into that
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Something involving fire and boiling water in the winter in the backyard.
Yeah. But there's something
forest.
there's so I think during the 6 days that we were like holding vigil, I think one of my sisters said, I think I'm worried that I killed him or something like that. And my mom was talking about seeing him fall, and we're most worried about my mom too. So like when I got home, it was like all of a sudden like, oh, I feel really bad, but like and then I'm worried that I hurt him, and then like I was like, oh, that's funny because I was just thinking that he probably died because he read my book and he hated it and he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed that I called it something that he said to me. He probably maybe he was really depressed, and then I kind of started laughing. I was like, so. That just and my sister's like, that's crazy, and I'm like, yeah, so we're all crazy, so we don't have to have these. We were talking about all the baggage that we bring to a very intense situation like this, and making sure that it didn't eclipse our love for each other, and taking care of my mom and stuff. So
I mean, yeah, and I think I wrote you that that when that was stuff was going on, it's just like you're 95 years old, and it's like you've gotten through all this stuff, but there's it just everything kind of piles up in the a fall, you just
none of us singularly killed him,
catch a virus, there are all sorts of things. It's just at some point something's going to get you, because it's just the risks just pile up and up. It's just kind of like a mountain, and it gets harder and harder to get over that mountain, and it's just something's going to trip you up. And so it's you can't start thinking, oh, if I had done this, it would have lasted this much longer. I mean, like for my dad, typically people, who the problem with like pancreatic cancers is they don't find it until it's stage 4, and it's like basically usually what happens. So somebody like Steve Jobs was very unusual, but usually what happens is it's like you get, they say, well, you've got pancreatic cancer and you've got about 6 weeks, right? But because of what happened with my dad is it sealed off a bile duct or something, and he had jaundice. And he was jaundiced, and that gave us an extra 6 months or something. They caught it early, in quotes.
Jesus,
so basically 6 months earlier than normal. So it's kind of like you can, and that was just like a random sort of chance that happened. And so you go, oh, it's really bad that was a year-long process, and then it's like, but it was also, 6 months longer than most people ever have, when that happens. And it's like you can spend all your time thinking about, oh, what if I did that? Or what if,
No,
what
it's
if they'd
just
done this? It's
just a stupid thing to think. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not
You know,
stupid,
it's not
but it's-
stupid, but it's. There's no reason.
Yeah.
There are so many other things to
Yeah.
think about and talk about and
When
stuff.
you get to be 80, when you get to be 90, when you get to be 100, it's just yeah. It's
you just have to like
harder and harder to
yeah.
beat the odds, basically.
I think being thankful for every minute that you have with people is good.
Yeah.
And then somebody was asking, like, it was before the hospice. It was like in the ICU, like somebody asked me and my two sisters which one of you was his favorite, and we all said me. All of us said me at the same time, and we all laughed.
What kind of person was that as a joke? Were they saying
I
that as
don't know.
a joke?
I don't know. It was
what
an
kind
interesting.
of person says that?
It was an interesting. It was interesting that she said that, but we all said me. And I really liked that. I thought that was indicative of
Yeah,
you know.
that's good. He did a good job of not letting on who was his favorite.
No, we all. I mean, I think me and my sisters all thought we were his favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were just all his favorite, and that's good too. And so, also like that was one of the things that stuck out to me, over this past week, and then like that I'm thankful for, because I'm just thankful for all this stuff. And then another thing, my mom is not sort of not the most sociable person, except that I know that she used to be really sociable. So, but over the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, was not very sociable. And I was really worried about when we had a celebration of life for him, a couple of days ago, like 5 days ago, like on Sunday.
In Florida, yeah.
In Florida. And it is like, it was from like 2 to 6. And I was like, let's just have it at the house so she can leave when she needs to, and she can go in her room and relax, or, just get away from people. From 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., hundreds of people came through that door of that house and came to her and talked to her and said, I'm sorry. And she just was going like from 2 to 6, just going strong. Holy crap. I mean, and like when I like felt faint after like 2 hours, like I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. And I like would look over her to, at her, like, is she okay? Is she okay? And she's just sitting there talking to more people, like just people came by the house and like had to leave because there were too many people in the house. They're like, oh, well, we'll come back later because there are too many people. Mm-hmm. It was just packed. It's like a really loving community that they live in. So that was, I was just astounded at her strength, and we hope that she continues. And then Carla's husband was there, and he was just a mensch too, like just wonderful. This, everybody did their part very well. So,
do you have like some of your dad's catchphrases?
Oh, I mean, like I was thinking to read some of those, at that party, but I don't think he was saying those by then. I don't think he was saying any of those, we at some point thought he might have Tourette's, just because he kind of would outburst in these crazy, but they're like jazz phrases. We figured out it's like jazz. Listen, schmagaggly,
Yeah, he's a total hipster kind of jazz guy.
Yeah. So those were the words. Like we had tons and tons of words that he would say.
So what was schmagaggly?
Derogatory. If you
okay.
did something wrong, you were listen schmagaggly. There's I mean,
what is like boom bop? What does that mean? That's just
hurry up.
Hurry up.
That means hurry up.
Yeah.
Boom bop. Yeah, it's a peckerhead serenade. That like Sarah's friend, I guess, was visiting from England, and he came up to her crying, saying like one day he was waiting for my dad in the bathroom or something. He came up to her crying, saying, "What is a peckerhead serenade?" He would sing, "It's a peckerhead serenade, daily dade cock." That's what he would say. So that's like the end of a song, right?
Right.
So we figured all these. He's and we asked our neighbor, who I will always refer to as Dr. Borstein, if does my dad have Tourette's? And he just said, "What's the difference, Rosie?" It's like, what's the difference? I love that.
Yeah, it's totally functional.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
interfere with his daily life.
But he had. So we have just lists of his words. So when we read them all, we laugh and cry with my prima. We have my cousin and so my cousin's dad is still alive. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
98.
Even older than your, he
Yeah.
was,
Because I think he hangs out in a wheelchair. I'm not sure, but like,
That's true, yeah.
if my dad was hanging out in a wheelchair.
Yeah, you can't do this,
But I know. Tim Bowers is
what
asking if this is a henna tattoo. No, this is a necklace that my children gave me on Mother's Day. Isn't it beautiful? Used necklace. Okay, let's move on. I mean, unless you want to stay on.
One other thing is so before he started painting, though, he did have a couple of things that he could draw, right? So his sister Verna, right, who is still around.
Sadok.
Unfortunately, his other sister, his youngest sister, right, passed away just a few months ago.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So Verna's his middle. Verna was the middle sister.
Yeah.
Or middle
courtroom artist for NBC.
Yeah.
Did the Chicago 7
But
trial.
your dad drew too, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had a couple of.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
What did he have?
He would have hand with a gun. He would draw. He could draw that really well. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, he could copy really, really well. So like some of the paintings that are hanging up in his room that I've grown up with are paintings that he copied. So yeah, people were saying, "Oh, he's a Renaissance man. He could do anything." But I was like, "No, he just really like practiced and worked hard."
Though I'm thinking about this because all of our parents, were in the Chicago school system, and then I'm even thinking about that. I've shown you that pamphlet for my kindergarten class, and it was already looked ancient, but it was like a pamphlet they give out, and we want to teach your children to be, smart and poetic and like kind of like this universal idea of education. And so I know my parents were both really,
into the arts,
but then sciences, and all of that. And your
Yeah.
dad went to Lane Tech, so
Yeah.
they all went to these schools that were impressive.
Did your dad go to Lane Tech also?
No, my dad went
okay.
to CVS actually.
Man, okay, all right. It's Jody's dad who went to Lane Tech.
Yeah, my dad went to Chicago Vocational.
Okay.
I think he was learning to be a print
But
maker.
you're talking about how
just that education. I think they were there. It was a different time, where music, the arts, and then whatever you would say, what would you call it, science, and then the trades, right? It was all of these things were sort of more equal or part of a well-rounded life, right? Is that you could draw, right? You could be a painter and also a dentist, or a musician and also a dentist, right? Or a sculptor and also a mathematician, right? Is like that kind of that idea of Renaissance man, right?
Yeah.
A Renaissance person wasn't really an idea. It was like, oh, that's a well-rounded life or education or a well-rounded person. And that's thinking about that, thinking about your dad, thinking about my parents, your that generation, right?
Yeah.
It's like there was a lot more emphasis on the arts as part of an academic life, right? Or an academic career or academic you as opposed to art on a cart, or
right.
orchestra is optional, or music and art are optional, kind of things. I think that's part of it.
Gordon writes, during the Renaissance they were just a man.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
that
cool.
phrase, Renaissance man, is just
Kim said, sends love and condolences, and thanks to everybody who's sending that, and you don't have to.
They want to.
I know,
they understand.
I know.
They've been through this, or they feel for you.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
it's an important thing, and
Yeah.
I know you don't want to, be upset or cry in front of people necessarily, or have to go through that again. But it's good to do.
Yeah, I understand.
Because we spend a lot of time pretending that this stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Which is not healthy.
Yeah. So anyway, well, we just worked on the mission statement of our of our program, and it is funny. Like it was kind of alarming that it's like we want to prepare students to have jobs in the future. You know what I mean? Like, and it seems like we bounced away from that this time. I don't know if I don't know what it was even previously to that. I don't know if it was a more arty thing, but I'm really happy with what we came up with. But it does kind of incorporate more like making well-rounded individuals, right? It talks about.
Yeah, I think it's important.
That's really nice. So speaking of, art, you've released a single, another single today. You want to talk about that?
Sure.
Because this morning I read it. I was like, it's another fucking song about how much he hates his wife. I wonder what people are going to think about this, And so, like, I don't know if you and then I had like a long talk with myself, which was nice to get my mind off my dad's death. But I had a long talk with my, and chapter 5 of our music business book talks about songwriting, and it says that the love song is the one song that beats all songs. It's like songs about love. So your songs are about love lost.
Yeah, well, it's just it's the country. So I've talked about Bobby Bear before. Mm-hmm. I love Bobby Bear songs, but they're all about a cowboy in the city. And someone's left him, and the city's all sad and lonely.
Can I just ask you a question? Like, do you want to divorce me?
Well,
would you tell me that? Would you?
Sure,
would you?
I would tell you, but why would I? What the song is not about a guy who's divorcing his wife. It's about a guy who's been left by his wife or a partner or whatever.
Something about nothing left. There's nothing left.
Yeah. It's about somebody.
Your song.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a guy. It's if you think about it as a country song, right? It's a guy in a city. So all these Bobby Bear songs, they're like it's about a Baltimore or Detroit, and it's like he's gone to the city because of this woman.
So you still love me.
Yeah, this song's not about you.
I know. I understand it's not about me. I just want to get this Okay, so we're at yes.
Yes,
we're not getting.
yes.
Okay, now you can talk about your fucking song. Go ahead. Sorry to make you cry.
But I'm not crying.
Okay,
I'm laughing.
Bobby Bear, the city.
Yeah,
wife left him.
Or it's just that it's like you just have to listen. You haven't listened. I listen to these songs all the time. It's like
not the Narvel Felt song.
No, but it's like the Bobby Bear songs.
Okay.
Streets of Baltimore, Detroit City. What's the other one?
Why don't you write a song about working at a university and how fun it is to be with students?
I hate that kind of stuff.
Okay, why don't you write
it's like showing off? Yeah, it's like what? Oh, those bands where it's like, I was an English major. And I went to an Ivy League school, and now I'm writing folk songs. I hate that kind of. I'm just going to show off.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to show off how smart I am, and then other smart people will listen to it and show off that they listen to this smart thing because I love this song. It's about James Joyce.
I love you so much right now. Keep talking.
But yeah, so it's just you have a.
So it's also not wishful thinking that I would leave you. Right. I understand it's not about me.
Wishful. So it's a depressing, sad song that's wishful thinking. It's like I would love to be in this situation, is what you're saying.
Because my wife is a pain in the ass.
But that would be a different kind of song.
Okay, so it's not about me.
That would be a totally different song.
All right.
That would be like a what's her name song? Fist City.
This is like
Loretta Lynn song, right? That where it's like you've done me wrong, and you're going to be punished, kind of song. That's a different type of country song.
Okay, and those don't intrigue you. All right, that's okay.
Well, I could do.
No, don't. What you do you. This is like you. All right, so
it's like what the Poster Children songs like that too, like New Boyfriend, right?
I know. You didn't
have a new boyfriend.
No, those weren't about me. I was in the band.
But
Yeah, I understand.
Why wouldn't?
This is like, okay, so you know what? At Pygmalion, I got to hang out with Rick Power's wife. And I asked her, and she was like, "Oh, he's writing a new book." And I was like, "Is everybody going to die at the end of the book?" And I think she said, "Yeah." And I was like, "What the fuck is the matter with your husband? Why does he kill off all? Why does he kill off all of his characters?" And she said something like, "You know, it was just an easy way to get him off the stage."
Yeah,
You know.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Andy Lester says it's a good thing Rick didn't cover something like Delia's Gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like frickin' what's his name, Nick Cave, right? Like writing murder songs and stuff. You know, I mean, I could that would be a little. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I could never see you writing a murder song. But
But
anyway,
that's-
all right.
that-
So
but
go
if
on.
I started listening to a bunch of those, you know, then
Yeah.
I probably would.
Okay, so Bobby Bear, he's in the city.
Yeah, all his songs are about being in the city and being alone.
All right. It's very pretty. I liked it.
Yeah.
You have like sort of a donut, like a weird, like a kind of a weird chromatic thing going on in the middle there. You know.
Yeah.
What you know, this is what I wanted to ask you. I feel like, you know, years ago, like you were like, it was hard for you to make songs, and we talked about this too. Like, you'd be working on a whole record for a long time, you know, and then it'd finally come out. And then we talked about how you decided to just release a single every so often.
Yeah.
You know, but it seems like the productivity has gone up. And like every time
actually that's
it's so
the
exciting.
The song that I just did, that one, I mean, it's actually pretty terrifying how many times I re-recorded it and reworked it and put it into different keys.
What's terrifying about it?
Because that one I spent probably the past 2 years working on over and over again, and I could never get it right, and I just gave up.
Well, okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to hear. You put it out.
It was
though.
like, yeah, I did. Well, what happened was I had other songs, and then I was just like, I can't keep working on this one to try to get it right. And so I worked on the other ones, and then I just put that one out.
But yeah, couldn't it be like, even like, are you thinking about like rapid prototyping even? Like, put the song
I got
out
a
and
bunch
then,
of
like, you
stuff.
could do
I got a backlog of stuff, and this is easier than, and I like doing covers. And I realized I could do the wedding present thing where I do a song of my own and then a cover, and I can just get through them all instead of trying to making it an album. They can be kind of little standalone things. And then also I like the 2-song thing, but then writing, which I did before, was writing an original song and then an instrumental. Right? That was too much for me to do.
Yeah.
Because I could do it, but it was a lot of work because it's 2 creative things. And the covers, I am realizing that, I've always hated covers songs because I feel like it's a weakness, right? Doing other people's songs.
Yeah.
And also people love cover songs because they're familiar, right?
Right. So you like, it's a crutch.
It's a crutch.
Yeah.
And the thing is I'm much more happy with the covers so far than the originals.
Well,
and
of course.
But I'm trying to figure out how can I get that perspective with the songs and treat them like covers, my songs, and treat them like covers, as opposed to getting totally freaked out trying to figure out how to arrange and make them sound good. So it's weird. It's yeah.
It makes perfect sense. So like, even when we're teaching like drawing and stuff, right, or digital painting, even I know that in those classes, like people start by like taking somebody else's style and painting in that style, right?
Oh yeah,
You know?
and I love and a lot of the musicians I love, in the 60s, very few of them, they all started out doing a mix of their own songs and covers. Bob Dylan, I guess, didn't really, but he was just stealing other people's or other songs and putting, he wasn't 100% original, I guess.
What are the methods that you've used to try to make yourself believe that one of your songs is, or treat one of your songs like you would treat a cover in your mind?
I haven't been able to figure out that yet.
What have you tried and failed?
I don't think I've tried.
You haven't even tried.
I can't figure out why. I think it's that I just don't care, or because there's already a template, right?
There's already
something
authority.
And so that's the other thing, is trying to do covers that don't and try to make them different enough where they don't sound like the original. But also finding obscure stuff is better, but I'm working on something that's not as obscure, and then it's like, okay, you got to make that more unique. You can't, because I think that's what happened. I mean, even with like the Poster Children covers, right, doing On the Offensive, they sounded kind of a lot too much like the originals, at least to me. Yeah, listening to them back again, it's just kind of like, ugh, this isn't as, yeah. But it's kind of like trying to find covers that aren't sounding like something I would like anyways, right? Or like the kind of production I would like. I don't know what I'm saying.
But I'm asking you, like, yeah, when you write a song, because I mean, I could never write a song ever.
Well, that's the problem. Is I'm not writing. That's the problem. I think that's the problem.
What?
So like this new song, new in quotes, it started from that drone, right?
Right.
And then everything built up around it. And so I'm stuck with that fucking drone sound. And I did try to pull it out of the song completely, because it does eat up a huge amount of sonic territory, and it's really hard to make it sound good.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I was very surprised when it started. I was like, "Oh my god, wow!"
Yeah, but I wanted, it's
drone.
interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting.
Yeah,
but it's also like, okay, yeah, because it's being built from a lot of the stuff is built from a production or a riff or a sound.
that's what I want. Yeah, so that's when you're writing this, you've written the sound already, and they're still coming from sound and not from lyrics and not from melody. Like nothing is even from melody.
Yeah. But that was never the case. Even if I was writing something on an acoustic guitar,
you've never even started with like a melody.
No.
It's so weird.
It makes perfect sense.
Why don't you go to melody writing school or something?
Yeah, I don't find.
Why don't you take an online class? Why don't you do that? Why don't you force yourself to write a melody first? You should do that.
Yeah, I mean,
challenge you.
I guess I don't. Yeah, that's not the way. Yeah, I mean, it makes.
I've always done it this other way.
I know.
I've always done it.
Starting with a melody. Yeah, it's just not the way.
What kind of an asshole
works.
does that?
No, I know that's how people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or starting with lyrics, and it's just like, ugh, it just never works out really well, or it's even harder to do. But yeah, how do you make? Yeah, for me, yeah, I guess making a interesting thing to put a melody on. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
You're like an original hip hop artist. You got to
Yeah.
find the loop first, and then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't. That's not original, and that's not unusual. I mean,
Yeah.
there are plenty of people who do that, but it's the. Yeah, I guess maybe I don't think melodies aren't. Melodies, I like a good melody, obviously, like any, it goes right to your dinosaur brain, I guess, a good melody. But for me, that's not what. Like, just because something has a good melody doesn't necessarily mean I'll like it, right? I like.
I like a good drone. I like a good noise.
Yeah, and production and all that other stuff.
You should try to make something.
Think too much about this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, we'll get before we go. Are you done? You don't want to say any more about your song?
No, I'd rather not.
But if you go to Bandcamp under Richard Normal Valentine, then you can. It's Bandcamp Friday, so you should go purchase Rick's single And then you can hear the Narvel Felt song too, which is great. I'm so glad you finally.
And do you remember
covered
how
that.
we found out about Narvel Felts?
We were driving like very, very late, and we didn't even realize that we just already didn't have the touring in us anymore. We were driving like in Tennessee,
Into
and
Memphis.
that was into Memphis, and that was the
And
only station that came up, right?
The station was the library. I think their public radio station is also associated with the public library, or was the public library's radio station? And they were playing this Narvel Felts record.
And we had never heard of Narvel Felts.
Yeah, and he had had a hit in the 70s or something. He was more kind of like a gospel guy, but he had done a bunch of rockabilly recordings, recorded at Sun Studios, I believe, in the late 50s, early 60s, and they were just playing that. And all the songs were, it was the same thing. All the songs were the same. It was like,
and
just,
she left me.
Yeah.
I had only my dog.
Yeah. It was like that. And, but
that
it was
one
also
song
very
stuck
minimal.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like with the drum, they were like demos almost. I think they were demos. It was like a piano, drums, guitar, and very simple songs. And yeah,
I feel like the children did not like it, and you just kept listening to it, and then you got
just by pure repetition.
Dan bought either bought the Narvel Felts record or bought your single.
So there's lots of Narvel Felts stuff out there, but it's the Bear Family Records. It's Memphis Days, I believe, is the one that was this really, really cool collection of songs.
Your cover of it is great too, and then you would sing that.
I got to use my Casio tone, the Casio tone that's like an organ sized huge. Like I spent probably too much money on when I was in high school. I was a Casio addict, and I bought, I had all the little Casios. I had a VL1, the da Casio tone, and then I saw it at Service Merchandise, and I just had to buy the big one. And I have it still, 40 plus year old. I used it.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a great machine.
Yeah. But so were you like, oh, I should write a Narvel Felts type song?
Well, I feel like that other one is kind of it's that same vein. It's just
but it's
country
not.
song.
It's okay, but it's not like, I guess what I should say is
I think that's why I put them together, is they seem similar to me.
But like
country songs,
a minimal. Song,
oh yeah, minimal. Yeah,
song.
right. Yeah,
I look
and
forward
I did think
to
about
that, like, because If You See K is a minimal song.
Yeah, the minimal thing. I am working on that. That's the other thing, is the covers I've been doing are much more minimal. I'm doing less stuff on them, and I need to maybe think about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I talk
enough.
about Ahsoka?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it.
Is it over?
Yeah. I mean, when I tried to watch it with the kid, the boy child, and I don't think he liked it that much. And it's really slow. That's why, I guess. And then there were complaints that, the sword fighting wasn't good enough. And I need to finish watching Rebels, I guess. But it seems really slow and dreamy, Ahsoka. And I mean, when I watch the Star Wars stuff, and when I watch Star Wars stuff about like Jedi, it makes me want to practice martial arts and stuff, right? And that's what I like to do. So it's like, oh, they're practicing martial arts. They're studying. They're using their mental energy for good. They're trying to perfect something, and that's okay. So that means that it's okay for me to do it too, because there are other people doing it. So, but I just don't. It's so weird. I guess it's probably not good. Like, what do we do with all this Star Wars stuff that's not good, And I mean, but I like that the canon is being, continued, I guess. I just like to.
Why does it have to be continued? Why does there need to be more? I mean, honestly.
It's like, why are you buying more pants,
Because you need pants, but you don't necessarily buy all the same pants, although I did buy 3 pairs of the same pants, and I usually do that if I
Dan
find a pair of
he
pants.
loved the season finale. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So there was Star Wars, right? As you're familiar with, and then there's everything else. Everything else.
And by Star Wars, you
done.
mean Episode 4 only, right? You don't even mean
Episode 4.
Yeah.
Even that.
We can agree to disagree then. But what did you think?
Was it called Episode 4 when you saw it? The first 100 times you watched it in the movie theater that summer? Was it called Episode 4?
Was it called the New Testament when the Bible came out?
Exactly.
No.
It's total revisionist bullshit.
Oh, crap.
All
I
right.
forgot you don't believe in that stuff. Fine.
Yeah, it's all I mean, some of it's good, I guess, right? But it's all for commercial reasons, right? I mean, this is
any movie that you watch is for commercial reasons.
I understand, but that combination of art and commerce, right? There's a weight to it, right?
Like
a balance. You can have a balance, right?
Yeah,
and
it is solely to make more money, I guess.
I wouldn't say it's solely.
Yeah, and I wouldn't either
believe
because
people,
I like ladies Jedis.
Yeah, and this is not. Yeah, so I think it's fair. You could say that. Oh, I don't like Ashoka because I'm sexist and I only want male-oriented Star Wars stuff, but I don't want any more Star Wars stuff. I want 1977 Star Wars and that's it, right? Without any revisions, without any CGI,
Yeah.
And I want, Marshall Lucas to be acknowledged for being a co-creator of that film, and everybody else who worked on it, right? And it's like, yeah, it's not a great, I don't even want to get into it again. It's an amazing it's an amazing feat. Star Wars is amazing. The film, the original film, because it is so. It's like gossamer. It's like a castle made of gossamer threads. It's like so amazingly
untouchable. Right?
Not even
like
untouchable. That it sits together. It works as a movie. But if you like start pulling on it, it's like, wow, this movie is. It barely holds together, man. It's like the most amazing example of collaborative filmmaking. How you can build a film through editing. How you can turn. A sow's ear into a purse, whatever the.
Maybe I guess I'll just go watch the Seven Samurai and just be done. Not Seven Samurai. What was it?
The Magnificent Seven? No.
Give up. Never mind.
Oh,
Never
the Hidden
mind.
Fortress.
That's the one.
Yeah, yeah. It's all. I don't know. I'm just frustrated that you have to subject yourself to this. Yeah.
Lady Jedi.
That would be great. It would be great if it was not kind of reversed engineered mumbo jumbo.
It's just like, and I think people are complaining about it messing up the canon too. So even it's
God
not even
forbid.
you.
Yeah.
All right.
So
all right.
what sect are you going to be a part of? Yeah. Who's what side of the great Star Wars war of 2030 are you going to be on? Like, is there actually going to be bloodshed?
Lady
in the
Jedi.
In the next 100 years over the canon.
No, there will be bloodshed over the next presidency.
Yeah, maybe, but we didn't even talk about the goofballs.
Oh my God, this is but okay, wait, we got to do a little bit of that. Come on, we got to do a little bit of that. Who's the Speaker of the House currently, Rick?
Oh, I don't know.
We don't have one, right?
Oh, it's somebody.
Oh, they got somebody else in? Interim Speaker of the House. What happened while I was gone? Just mention it and then we can go.
They just voted McCarthy out, and the Democrats went with him. Went with the crazy right.
You were
lunatics.
really happy for a little while.
I was excited because it's never happened before, and it's
unprecedented.
I think I'm getting I get hopeful around this time of the election cycle, don't I? That the Republican Party is going to rip itself apart. It already is ripping itself apart, but it does feel like I'm trying to figure out what's the equivalent of like the Southern Democrats becoming, the Southern strategy kind of thing. But there's nowhere for these crazy right-wing lunatics to go. They just start a third party.
Could they have the racist party and the not racist party?
Right. So that's basically what happened was.
Although
is that,
they're all we're all racist.
The Democratic Party, basically, I just watched this god-awful LBJ movie with, what's his name?
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson?
No fault of Woody Harrelson's. It was not good. But
I didn't know what that was from that you sent.
It was crazy. I didn't even know it had come out. But
cut you where your nuts hang.
Yeah. So the Southern strategy, the Republicans basically in '68, basically bring or well, yeah, okay. So it'll be a Wallace type situation, George Wallace type situation, and then maybe it will be.
Woody Harrelson's really into the political shows, huh? Like
He's
he
from
likes,
Texas too, so the LBJ thing.
but
yeah.
I mean, he was in that
Yeah.
plumber movie.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's
thing,
right.
too.
Yeah.
Typecast. All right. Thanks for going over, Rick. 10 minutes over. Little bit of politics.
Oops. Wrong.
I was going to
outro.
start crying and saying, "Wow, we did the my dad's past episode of Radio Zero, but we can talk about him other times too."
Yeah.
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 Okay. Good. Thanks for listening.